Come on in, honey. The lantern's lit, the veil's a little thin, and the wind's been dying to carry a few secrets your way. Welcome to Raven's Ramblings, where the shadows walk beside us and the past never stays buried, and a good spell can speak louder than a sermon. I'm Raven Nightingale, part healer, part hellraiser, keeper of the old ways and ghost stories alike. So pull up a chair and listen close. You never know what might be whispering in the dark. Welcome back, my witchy souls, to Raven's Ramblings, the space where we explore the beautiful, the painful, and the powerfully mysterious path of witchcraft and spirit and self. So, tonight's episode, or I guess today, well, no, it is night. Tonight's episode is probably going to feel a little bit heavier, but it is one that every spiritual soul at some point is going to encounter. We're going to talk a little bit about the dark night of the soul. All right. Uh, it is a deep descent into shadow and confusion and sometimes silence. So, you know that feeling when the magic seems to have drained away from your life and your rituals feel kind of empty, and the universe that once felt so alive with signs and everything just kind of goes quiet. It's a time of spiritual unraveling, a sacred breakdown, if you will, before building things back up. So, light you a candle. I got mine going on my altar. Wrap up in something soft and cozy, and let's talk about the beauty and the necessity of walking through the darkness. So, the phrase the dark night of the soul comes from a 16th century mystic, St. John of the Cross, who described it as the soul's painful journey through loss and isolation before being reunited with the divine. And it wasn't about punishment. That's very key there. It was not about punishment. It was about purification. It was about the soul shedding everything that kept it from its truth. Now, over time, the phrase grew beyond those religious roots. And we kind of use it now to describe like a spiritual crisis. That moment when your faith or your magic or even your own personal identity kind of starts to crumble a little bit. You may feel a disconnect from your guides or your gods or your intuition or your magic itself. And you may ask yourself these questions like, who am I without my magic? Why does my connection feel broken? Why do I feel empty when I'm going through the motions and doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? And it's not that your light is gone, it's that your soul is dismantling a false light. It's taking away the illusions and mask that you've built around it. The dark night is the universe saying that you have learned all that you can from where you are right now, so it's time to shed that skin. That makes sense? Kind of getting you ready for that next level. It's very terrifying. It's also very lonely, but it can also be extremely sacred because through this unraveling, your soul can begin to really, really remember who it truly is, which is very raw and very luminous. And it's just very, very eye opening. So sometimes the dark night itself begins as spiritual burnout. Yeah. And I've got another bonus episode I'm going to do after this one. Let's talk a little bit about that. And that's that creeping exhaustion that kind of seeps into your bones after too much seeking and not enough stillness. We have to remember to take those breaks. You might feel numb to your rituals. Your tarot has no feeling, it feels just like paper. The moon feels super far away and you don't feel that pull to it. You keep pulling cards and burning your herbs and meditating, but the spark isn't there. And then you think, oh, well, I'm not doing enough. So you try to do more to try to fix it. And all that really does is make that emptiness get heavier. And this is really your spirit kind of whispering, you can stop trying so hard, right? Take that break. Because even spiritual practices can become more pressure or considered work if we forget their true purpose, which is to reconnect, not to perform. So the constant need to be spiritual or stay high vibe, it can be very, very exhausting. And sometimes your soul doesn't want to ascend or it just can't at that moment because it needs to rest. Understandable. We all need a little break every now and then, right? So the burnout often comes when we have given more than we have received. And that's with anything in life, honestly. If you are in some type of a relationship where you are giving way more than you are getting in return, you experience that same type of burnout. So it's like when we're pouring our magic into everything and everyone else, but nothing into ourselves. It's burnout. So if you feel disconnected or unmotivated or even resentful toward your path, it does not mean that you have failed. It means that your magic is calling you inward. It's time to stop doing magic and start being the magic again. All right? So, an affirmation we can try with that is even in stillness, I am sacred. Even in silence, I am whole. Just kind of let that sit and marinate, right? So the deeper you move into that dark night, the more you encounter ego death. And I know that's a super scary phrase, right? Well, ego death isn't about destroying who you are. It's about releasing who you thought you were. It's when everything that defines you, your labels, titles, roles, whatever, begin to kind of dissolve and you get back to that baseline. It's the witch who loses her spark and the healer who can't heal herself, the believer who feels abandoned by the divine. You feel like your entire identity is just slipping away. And it kind of is because that identity is only one layer of your soul. You are so much more. Ego death is super disorienting because it kind of removes those braces that we have built our lives around. And what remains is your truest essence. That part of you that it's not defined by success or power or money or perfection. Think of it like a tower card moment. The universe saying, this structure served you once, but it can't hold who you are becoming because you are more. It can be very frightening, but it is also the birthplace of authenticity, right? It is the most basic level of your essence. And you begin to see that your worth, it isn't tied to how spiritual you appear or how productive your magic is or how connected you seem. You begin to understand that you, in your most human and unadorned form, are still divine, right? That's so deep. I love that. That's so deep. So, the dark night of the soul isn't a single moment, really, it's a descent. It's kind of when you enter the underworld of your own psyche. You're guided not by the light, but by your own instinct. And that is super scary. You may feel isolated or anxious or even angry with your deities or your guides. And you may cry without knowing why. You may wake up in the middle of the night feeling empty and hollow. And that's because the old energy, the version of you that clung to that control or perfection, is dying. And that's okay. And like any death, though, it can be painful. But remember, every witch that knows the darkness isn't evil. We know that. We know it is not evil. The darkness is fertile, right? And here's why: a seed has to be buried in the dark before it can grow. It's really that simple. So if you feel lost, remember it is not the end of your magic. It is the deep winter before your spring. This is where your power hibernates and refines and roots itself even deeper than before. Take comfort in knowing that even in the shadow, you are still surrounded by unseen allies, your ancestors, your spirit guides, the pulse of the earth itself. They're not gone, they're just a little bit quieter right now, and they're asking you to listen in a new way. And then, one moment, something will shift. It's rarely dramatic. There's no trumpet sounds or bolt of lightning or literal light bulb going off. One day you're going to wake up and the air is going to feel lighter again. You'll notice bird song again. You'll find beauty in those small things, and things like the way the sunlight hits a cup of tea or coffee in my case, or how incense smoke dances through the air. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. That's how a rebirth begins, quietly, gently. You're not the same person you were before. You've changed in ways that words can't capture. Softer, but stronger. Quieter, but deeper. In witchcraft, we see this as a phoenix moment. You've burned down everything false and emerged from your ashes, just shimmering with truth. And your magic? Oh, the magic. It comes back different, more authentic, more rooted in who you really are. You're no longer, you're, y'all, my brain is working faster than my mouth. You're no longer seeking connections to prove your worth. You just embody that. You're no longer chasing those signs. You recognize that you are the sign. And rebirth isn't about returning to the light, it's about realizing that no matter how dim, the light was with you all along. And if you're in this space right now, and I have been, the next episode will tell a little bit more about that. But if you are in this space right now, this heavy, confusing, beautiful, but transformation, there's a few ways we can help tend to our spirit through this. Number one, rest without guilt. This is not wasted time. It is sacred dormancy. We are recharging our lights. Journal the unraveling. Yeah, I'm still working on that journal thing. I know. Don't worry about structure when you're journaling. Just write down every thought, every fear, every flicker of hope, everything. Random words, whatever pops in your head, write it down. Let your truth spill out on that journal page. Simplify your magic. A single candle, a breath, a whispered affirmation. Sometimes those simple rituals hold the deepest power. Connect to your body. Drink water, stretch, healthy things. Touch the earth. The soul heals best when the body feels safe. Surrender the timeline. I know we all set goals. People have 5 and 10 year plans, and well, I want to have this done by next month. But you can't rush that transformation. The dark night ends when your soul has gathered what it came for. And remember, rebirth does not erase the dark, it ingrates it. And you're going to carry that wisdom with you forever. Hopefully, I will too. Remember, the dark night of the soul is not a punishment. I'm saying that to myself too. It is a passage, a death and a birth all at once. It strips you down to your essence and who we are when the costumes of ego all fall away. It is brutal, but it is beautiful. Because on the other side of that darkness, we are going to find ourselves standing in our own light. Not the ones that we were taught to follow, but the ones we were born with. So if you're like me and in the thick of it right now, know this: we are not broken, we are becoming. So until next time, my dears, be gentle with yourselves, trust your process, and let your shadow show you the way back home. I'm working on that myself. Blessed be. Bye.